Hello and welcome to the channel. I am Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations and thanks for tuning in today. Now, today I want to do kind of a fall decor kind of thing. Not a wreath, but just kind of like a planter arrangement. But I don't want this bright of a tin. This is a little cute bucket from my dollar store. But I want to age it. I'd rather have it looking kind of rusty and a little bit old and used. Kind of fits a little bit more with those oranges and rusty browns and that sort of thing for fall. So we're going to age it. Now, I know that there are paints, and I have them here in the shop, that we could paint this out and spray an activator and get real rust happening. So meaning that there's paints that if we were painting on metal, we have to put the barrier paint down first. So that's a specialty paint, and it's going to block the rust activator from actually hitting the metal and eating away at the metal. And then we would paint it with the oxidizing paint, and that's paint that actually has metal filings in it. So we're laying that down. Then we spray the activator, and it starts oxidizing the iron filings in the paint. And then we seal it. So works awesome. I have done it on furniture. I love the look. But for furniture, I don't mind the expense. And it's not cheap. It is expensive. But I saw this really cool technique that you can do using we're going to use white vinegar and hydrogen peroxide and some salt. So nothing particularly harmful about it, and it looked really cool. So experiment along with me. Now I'm putting gloves on. There's nothing in this that's going to eat at my hands or anything like that. I'm just putting gloves on because the vinegar's stinky. I don't want to smell like vinegar all day. So it's nothing beyond that. It's just, I don't want the vinegar smell. So what I did read, and I have a hydrogen peroxide over here that's already opened, so they look the same. 3%, 3%, yes, okay. So we are going to, oh my goodness, it's just really locked in there. All right, this is a weird lid. Let's just get rid of the whole pump action thing because I'm pouring, I'm not squirting. So, my understanding is that you use about the same amount of everything. So, I'm just kind of faking it. Let's put all these weird lid contraptions back on there. So yeah, about that much. I would say that's roughly 1/3 of a cup. And I just have this little dollar store container here. And now I'm gonna add about the same-ish. That's a technical term, of the white vinegar. And I'm gonna add about a tablespoon or so of the salt. And I don't have salt at the shop, so I just brought a little baggie of it from home. Okay. And I don't need to have the whole thing soaking in it. So I don't need to have like a huge bucket full of this stuff. I'm ultimately just going to want and need to get it wet. And because I've got these weird handles on here and stuff, I thought the easiest way to do that would be to take some towels, soak them in the mixture, and just kind of wrap it around my bucket. And that way, it's all kind of covered. And we'll just kind of soak them, wrap them all the way around, and leave it and check back and see how it's going. Now, I don't know if these dollar store tins are sealed. I don't know if that matters. We're kind of faking this here together, folks. So, you know, if you've been on the channel before, you know, I don't go out of my way to perfect these things before I show them to you. A lot of times I'm doing this for the first time here. And I just show you how it turns out. And I'm fully of the belief that then if I can do it, if it works for me, then it's gonna work for you, because it's nothing that I experimented with, played with, perfected before y'all joined me. So we will, might as well, I've got an extra cloth, might as well do the bottom. And let it kind of drip down. I'm just thinking that the cloth kind of will keep that solution. Oh my goodness, I'm seeing rust happening already. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Right down on that edge, on the black. So I guess the black will oxidize, will rust out. Huh, didn't even know the black would do that. Okay, let's cover the black rim up. Let's wrap it around that then, if it's gonna work. Now I might wanna take this cloth and do my handles instead. And this is just like a shop towel, so it's nothing special. It's kind of like a heavy duty paper towel more than anything else. So you could use anything. I just wanted something that I could throw out after, because it's gonna smell like vinegar again. I don't mind vinegar. I just don't necessarily want to smell like it all day. Okay. I'm thinking I'm just gonna kind of leave it for maybe half an hour or so, come and unwrap it and see if we've gotten any action, and whether I need to soak it longer or if anything's happening really. So I'm just gonna set it aside. I'm gonna leave it, and then I'm gonna come back at you and we'll check it out. So this has been on about 45 minutes because I forgot about it. I forgot that I was gonna check it, but it's still fine. And I don't think I'm getting lots of rust color happening down here. Can you see that along the edge? But I don't know that I'm really getting rust. So let's just kind of take it off and see what's happening. Okay, so I am getting a reaction on the bucket. Well, that's pretty cool. Do you guys remember how bright it was? And look at this mottled effect from the cloths. Okay, I'm digging that. That's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to switch up the pattern on a little bit, because I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna wrap it up again and just leave it for maybe about another hour, and then we'll unwrap it. And I do have a tin that we have not done this to, so I can show you the difference in the looks between them. We've had about another hour on this, so you know, you can see, look at the color of that vinegar mixture, vinegar and peroxide down there. So you can see that definitely there was a reaction happening, because that mixture has all turned that rusty color. And I'm just realizing I forgot my gloves, so I'm gonna smell like vinegar after all. Yay. But let's kind of take a look. I brought a cloth to just kind of wipe it down right now. And it's a little hard to tell just kind of looking at it, unless you remember distinctly. I mean, the outside looked like the inside. And in fact, it looked like this. So very cool effect. It didn't go rusty, but we got a lot of kind of a textured look happening on it, and it doesn't look like that brand spanking new bucket from the dollar store, which is awesome because that's what I was hoping for. I wanted something that looked a little bit older, but it's actually still pretty, I'm gonna say still pretty clean looking, in the sense like it, it doesn't have that same texture of rust. So we've got a lot of textural look to it, but it's still got a pretty smooth surface. So what we're looking at doing is creating a bit of just kind of a nice fall decor piece that could be kind of in the center of a table, on an end table, kind of in a front window maybe. So we're really looking at just kind of adding a variety of different elements to this. So I am going to go and dig some of those elements up, see what I've got hanging out in the shop, because it's all just a bit of a, you know, you need to have kind of bits and pieces. You can have a little bit of a plan, but you just need to have some other stuff hanging out that you're looking at going, yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. So all I'm looking for here is getting my floral foam, and I just picked this up from the dollar store. So I'm just looking at getting that to kind of fit down into my bucket, and I just have a utility knife to be able to, sorry. Everyone, some people may be sensitive to sounds and you hate me at this moment. I'm not somebody that the squeaking bothers, so, although I gotta tell you, cutting this stuff is a little bit up my spine, so it's a little kind of creepy. And I'm just sort of stuffing into enough spots that I've got a lot of surface to be able to attach my floral elements to. And I'm not going to agonize over not having stuff in that corner. By the time that we start sticking things in on angles, it'll all be fine, and no worries. So I am going to just go and pull together a bunch of different items, and we can start playing with what's going to look good in our arrangement and take it from there. So I'll come back as soon as I've got an assortment of things for us to pick from. Oh my goodness, my tabletop looks like it's a flower shop, but I like to have, you know what, I like to have an assortment. I really don't have a full vision of what this is going to look like, and so until I have that, I like to have options. Now I do have some of these kind of picks from these are from the dollar store, so I have assortment of some things from the dollar store, some things that were from kind of a local warehouse that's close by me. But what I'm thinking of is a little bit of height in the center, and then some of the low florals and things down around the outside, which kind of makes sense, right? So this branch is going to be a little bit too low for me. So let's see if I can get it a little bit lower. Perfect. And these guys, cut them off here and stuff them down. So I will show you a couple of the other things I have. So I like these. They look sort of like fall eucalyptus almost, right? But I like the look of them. These leaves I got from that warehouse. And there is a distinct difference between the texture of them versus some of the dollar store. First of all, they're all, rather than plastic, they're all wired in and then wrapped in the floral tape. So a little bit higher quality. And the leaves are kind of all textured. Can you kind of see how they are versus these are some of the dollar store. Oops, sent one flying. Now I like these. They've got little acorns there that I wanted to be able to use, but I really love the look of these guys. And so I'm thinking, and I have them both in maple leaf and in, they come really flat, and the oak leaf pattern. And I think that they add just a lot of texture. So I'm thinking to maybe try using them. And I can adjust the leaves once I get it in as well, so I don't have to have them facing the exact perfect way right out the bat. But if I have them in there, now I want to put this third one down in here as well. That's the branch that I had cut off. Let's see about my tin snips here. Oh, baby, yes, that's awesome. Okay. I like those, just kind of weaving them through. We're going to use some of the dollar store branches as well, have them weaving in and out. But I think I'll maybe grab this other. Okay, what I like about these is that they are very staggered, right? So that they don't look perfect and they're not like a leaf every 2.5 inches and every diameter, so they kind of stick out all over, and it makes it look a little bit more natural in a lot of respects. So we'll see what happens when we fill in with some of the others. Now I did like these guys, so we've got some maple leaves in here. Now we can add maybe a little bit of oak leaves right in there, but I need to split these wires. Okay, try and get them a little bit longer. And these plastic ones are a little bit more limited from, you know, these ones that I was just adding in, which they are all wired. Each of the leaves are wired, so they're able to go virtually anywhere that you want. Whereas the dollar store ones, their leaves are all on plastic stems, so they don't have as much flexibility as to where you can put them. But they're not bad, and you can't beat the price. Okay, let's get a little bit over on this side. Okay, so it's starting to take a little bit of shape, but we still need to add more fullness to it. Now, I do have these kind of feathery little picks. So what I'm looking at with these is adding a little bit of an element, a different textural element than just leaves, right? So having some of that sticking out, but I think that they need to be down just kind of in along here before we start adding some of the other little florals. Okay, let's see how many of these we need. So just one of the things that when you're doing something like this that you want is you just want a variety of textures. You want the colors all to work together, but you don't want all of the textures to be so uniform that it lacks some visual interest. And that's really what we're going for here. And as much as there may be like a defined front to this, meaning if I added a bow, then there would be a specific front, you do still want it to look good from any of the other directions. So if, let's say you put it on your dining room table, you could have the bow facing, you know, your living room or your most traveled area or direction so that it works in your space, but people that are on, you know, walk past it on the other side still see something that looks cohesive and it looks finished. You don't have an unfinished back to it. Okay, so far you can see that we're building up. So we need here, and I will go back in with some moss at the end so that we have all of that foam covered. But I'm thinking what I might like is to cut off all of these outside points and that tall stem in the center, just to create some uniformity. I might want kind of coming up out of the center of our arrangement. Okay, that's a little bit there. Now, we have some of these. I don't know what they're called, but I have them in the yellow and then some in the cream. And I'm thinking maybe putting some of those around. Just here and there. So I'm going to put some of these around the outside, space them out a little bit to add a little bit more color and a little bit of a new shape, right? Hard for you guys to see this, I know. Already yellow first. So we're just sticking the yellow ones down in here along that outside edge to, again, just kind of create a little bit of variety. I'm just looking for this to look really loose and a little organic. I don't want it to look too structured, if that makes sense, right? So that it's looking kind of nicely organic in there. Okay, let's put you off to the side. Now, I do have some of these smaller little sprigs of leaves, and I do have some little pumpkins, but these are things if I wanted to, I could glue in after, right? So some of these individual leaves that you probably saw falling off, I've got a bunch of little pieces of them and ones that I'll pull off of others. Now I did have a couple of these big flowers. That I'm just going to tuck in, and I'm going to see whether I like them in there or not. Now, this one's missing anything on the end, so I'm just going to take that one away because no point putting it in if it just looks like everything's missing. All right, so it's got 3 flowers that I'm just going to kind of separate and a couple of other little sprigs. And I'm just going to lightly tuck it in and then see what I think about putting it in there and adding a little bit of florals to it. And you know what? I'm kind of thinking no. I'm looking at it and I'm just kind of going, I'm kind of liking it just being all of the leaves without any flowers per se. I'm just going to rip off a couple more of these just the leaf stems, just these leaf pairs, to be able to tuck in there after I get some of my moss down in. I like the little acorns that I've got on some of these strands. And I do have, you know, some of these little pumpkins here that I think that I will also maybe look at gluing in. So while my glue gun is heating up over here, I'm just going to put some of this Spanish moss over all of my forms so that I've got all of that foam kind of covered, and those little holes that I had that none of the picks went, that I didn't have foam there, that's where I can kind of tuck some of the Spanish moss in. So kind of lifting things up, tucking it down in a little bit, and kind of bringing it around. And I like it kind of hanging down over the edge a little bit too, so it looks sort of like it was growing down over, but it just gives a nice kind of earthy, natural, finished look to the piece. And I just got this at the dollar store, so it doesn't have to be super expensive. Now you could take little floral picks to be able to anchor it down into place, but I've never had a problem with it just kind of staying in there where it needs to be. And you can see already that that just kind of fills that in, and it doesn't look like we're missing anything. But what I'm going to do, ends up being such a messy work table. Oh, sorry. But what I'm going to do is just kind of also tuck in some of all these little loose leaves. So, you know, I can glue that guy down into there so that it's kind of peeking out, and I can tuck a little pumpkin down into there as well. So it looks like it's kind of all down there on the ground. And that will help kind of give, and another glue stick, that will kind of help give it a much more kind of finished look as well, that I don't have a lot of big open spaces. I can tuck some of this down in there, and I just need to have a pick to do that instead of with my fingers. And let me just tuck a little pumpkin down in there, and then I can show you what I mean. nestle him down in there. So you can kind of see that little pumpkin just nestled down into there, and we'll just kind of carry on and do a little bit of that. I'm going to do some leaves that are on their own, and then some leaves that maybe surround a little bit of a pumpkin, just to finish off those bottom edges. Okay, I think I might cut off just a few of these little cream colored stems, but cut them nice and low. I'm just looking at sort of tucking them in and having them just kind of poking out of the foliage a little bit, just for another little something. And maybe one more. Down here. Okay, so this ends up being our big fall bouquet in that beautiful, beautiful base. Now, the only decision that we have to make now is how we feel about a ribbon. So, you have the option of maybe little glue threads. We have the option of maybe taking this and nestling a bow right up in here and hanging down. I kind of like the look of it without that, although I am looking and seeing, I want to add another pumpkin over here. Just tucking him back a little further. Okay. So we do have the option of doing that, or we could take a ribbon and put it around the base, or, you know, like we could put it around the base, or we could put it around the middle of the pot as well. However, I'm kind of liking what we did with that pot, and I'm a little loath to decorate it up. So I hope this kind of gives you a bit of an idea of, one, the main thing was how to be able to age a metal pot so that you can use it in some of your decor. And I think that aging them is perfect for the fall season, where you don't necessarily want that bright, shiny new look. You want something a little bit older. And again, you know, when we compare those two pots, this is how we start. This is how we started. This is how we started to where we're at. You can see what difference it would have made to the overall look of our arrangement and where we ended up. So I may do up a little bit of a bow and just kind of stick it on the front to show you what that might look like, so that you can decide for yourself when it comes to making your own, how you feel about it. So I'll take a couple of pics and maybe put a bow on so you can see what you think, and then you have that choice available to you when you go to make your own. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely post any questions that you've got, comments, suggestions. I welcome both, and I'm sure that anybody tuning in would also. And if you do some of your own fall arrangements, send us some pics, give us some ideas. Both equally welcome. So until next time, I'm Cindy Daychuk, Queen Bee Creations Home. Take care.